Alright, so after returning from my 48-hour cryostasis, I am ready to talk about Out-of-Body Experience Part 2. I never thought they'd be able to fit so much into only 10 minutes. So, first thing to address, Clover's a murderer. That's cool. I always thought her luck was kinda scary since it seems to mooch off the luck of others, but knowing that her luck can end up committing murder is kinda cool. It honestly makes her a much more interesting character, and the fact that she's legitimately terrified by all of this is pretty hilarious. It makes her way more unique than just any other generic super lucky character. But we'll get back to her later. Moving on from that, the way they handled Yin Yang switching with themselves was kinda funny. Seeing Yang realize the struggles Yin faces on his side of the body and practicing self-love was very wholesome. But what wasn't very wholesome was Bo freaking out over being a robot. So much so that she ended up confronting Test Tube about it, and she tells her everything. I'm actually really happy with how this reveal was handled. Originally, I suspected that there was going to be a bit of a problem with Bo's arc. I thought that doing it justice would take a lot of time and effort, but I seem to stand corrected. Test Tube explains that Bobot was created by her and Fan. Ever since Bo's death, they always wanted to bring her back. So by combining Test Tube's skill for robots with Fan's understanding of Bo's personality, they were able to build a robot version of her. After losing the egg that the two of them were so focused on looking after, Test Tube and Fan didn't have anything to take care of. So that's when they realized that Bo could be something else for them to take care of. She's essentially Bo. She looks just like her, she sounds just like her, she behaves just like her. The only difference they have is her robotic shell. This is a reveal. It makes sense and it's concise. Fans wanting to bring Bo back definitely makes sense for his character, especially after losing their egg in episode 14 of season 2. There's no huge backstory, but we didn't need one, and that's exactly what I wanted. It works as a small, no-nonsense reveal. At first, I thought it was pretty weird to choose not to have Test Tube and Candle switch out of their bodies before this scene, since it's kinda hard to take them seriously when it looks like Clover and Silver Spoon are talking to Bo, but I think it oddly really works. Bobot's whole realization in the scene is about her finding out she's in a body that isn't her own. So it's interesting that even though she's surrounded by people whose minds got taken out and swapped into other bodies, Bobot's identity is just as stripped away as theirs. It works as a thematic detail that's pretty dark, but I really like it. The only problem I have with this scene is that we've never seen Test Tube or Fan even interact with Bobot before episode 7. Despite Test Tube saying that Bo is someone new for them to protect, we don't see any of that protection in episodes 1 to 6. Even showing a little extra interaction between them would have gone a long way. It would have had the reveal make a lot more sense, and it would have made Bobot's outrage feel a little bit more impactful, since it would feel more like the two of them had a stronger bond, and that would have made the moment hit a little harder. But really quickly, I want to say that I find it really cool that Bo kinda said the same thing I did in my episode 8 video.
So you're saying I'm the same as Bo, but a robot? A Bobot?
She said Bobot. Bobot is her canon name, not Robo or Bo Droid or whatever. It's Bobot. Yes, I'm deriving much more joy from this than I probably should be. Just let me have this. Anyway, back to Bobot's serious identity crisis. The rest of the scene is executed really well. Bo rightfully lashes out at Test Tube. She chases after her, and they have a meaningful heart-to-heart about Test Tube admitting her hypocrisy and criticizing Cabby for expecting everyone to behave in the same way she writes them to be, while Test Tube expected Bobot to behave exactly like how she programmed her to be. And having Test Tube promising her that she'll do whatever she can to help Bobot be herself was really touching. I'm really interested in seeing how they're gonna do that. Is Bobot still gonna be like a variation of Bo, or is she gonna be like someone completely different? Really interesting stuff, and we're not even done with the episode yet. Another moment I really liked was how Miphone and Ballpoint Pen's last interaction was handled. When Ballpoint found out that all of the choices Miphone made for this episode's challenge were only made to please Ballpoint, he shares his awesome outlook on art. He says that when a creator tries to control how people view their creation,
you forget the most important part of creating. If you're not having a ball, then really, what's the point?
From one critic to another, I respect that outlook. I firmly believe that people should create stuff that they enjoy making on at least some level. Because if you don't enjoy creating your art, then you might not like how it turns out. And if you don't like how it turns out, then there isn't much hope for other people liking it either. And because of that bombshell of knowledge, out of all of the characters that only had a single episode of screen time in this series, Ballpoint Pen is by far my favorite. And not only that, the chilling review he left Miphone is leaving me really interested in how Miphone's gonna be treating the show now. It seemed like the review really left an impression on him, and his arc feels inconclusive, and I want to see how it's gonna be handled later on. And after all of that, we still have an elimination sequence left, and even though it doesn't have what I usually value in an elimination sequence, it feels very fitting for the end of the episode. Clover accepting that going through the game wasn't worth it if it means that she'll have to keep seeing how much trouble her luck has been causing people was very fitting for her character. character. I've always loved having intense and exciting eliminations, but I was still very happy with having more of a cathartic, bittersweet elimination. It worked a lot better for Clover's arc, and it was a much appreciated change of pace compared to last episode's super intense bombshell of an elimination. And ending the episode with the real Bo skipping this episode was such a fittingly silly ending. It really just ties the whole episode together in a neat little... I would say that I'm sorry, but I'm not. And overall, I am so happy with how this episode turned out. It got so much done in such a short amount of time, and it all feels so well done. I'm so glad that it put my worries to rest about the II team biting off more than they could chew when it came to writing this third season. It feels like they know what they're doing. They seem to be managing their serious moments properly without making them the main focus of the show, and it's really comforting to see. I hope they'll be able to keep this up, because the way I see it, Inanimate Insanity Invitational's future is looking brighter than ever.